Okay, I'll call the regular city council meeting of May 6, 2020 to order at 7:45. And would you please join me in pledging the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And is this video, Jason, or just audio?
Just audio.
Okay, just audio. Roll call, please.
Mayor Copeland,
Here.
Tom Baylor,
Here.
Cathy Sherman,
Here.
Jeff Guard,
Here.
Melina Meyer,
Here.
Ann Schaefer. Ann Schaefer.
I'm here.
Okay. David Allison,
Here.
David Gleason.
I'm here.
It's everyone.
Okay, are there any modifications to the agenda?
Yes.
Councilman Baylor.
Yeah, I would, you said modification, I forgot the word. Move to
Amend the agenda.
amend the agenda to put an executive session to discuss the sale of the hospital to maybe 13A.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to have an executive session for financial reasons. Okay. Is there any objection to amending the agenda? And Holly, do we still have you on?
I think
Okay.
the way I have that, the words in there that I've put about how anytime there's an agenda item, you can have an executive session on that item. If while you're discussing the item, it appears as though something comes up that would trigger an executive session. So I guess as
Okay.
we're doing item 14, that could come.
So council could just say, let's go into executive session when we get to that item.
And make the motion specifically about what you want to talk about.
Would that work, Councilman Baylor, or would you rather?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the discussion, as we discuss that item, if there's something that can go into executive session for, we can do that there.
Correct.
Okay. Is there, and you're okay with that? Councilman Gleason was the second?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay, great. Is there any other proposed amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, it'll stand approved as submitted. And are there any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications for council to disclose? Okay, hearing none, we have communications by and petitions from visitors. Again, that call-in number is 253-6202. You'll hear on-hold music. Just stay on the line until we answer, and then just mute your YouTube in the background, and you'll have 3 minutes to testify. But first, we have guest speaker Cathy Renfelt from the Chamber of Commerce. And Cathy, you have 10 minutes.
Thanks, Clay. Yeah, thank you, everyone, for letting me come and address you today. I've actually been planning to come and address you just before the whole COVID thing happened. So my presentation has changed a little bit since I originally put it together. But I wanted to give you all an update on what the Chamber has been working on and some projects that we have ahead of us. But first, I just wanted to reiterate a comment that I made last time that I spoke to you, which is that ever since my tenure started with the Chamber and before then, one of our main goals has been to foster a solid relationship between businesses and the city and act as conduit for two-way communication and build trust. I think that we've done that. I think that we've all been able to work together to do that, and I'm just going to continue to try to do that. And I appreciate the partnership of the city and the IMC in that effort. I really do. And I just wanted to commend the IMC on their response today and all the efforts they've put in leading up to today that made their response today work. So I think that the business that was involved, they had safety precautions in place that put their screen and to test. And because of that, they caught this case which was an asymptomatic case, which probably wouldn't have been caught if that safety precaution that they had put in place hadn't been put there. So, you know, the safety precautions that the businesses are putting in place are working. That's the good news in this whole situation, I think. So although it's not great news to have a positive case, it's not a bad way to find one, I think. So now I'm going to talk to you about what we've been working on. So our COVID-19 response so far, my staff and I have been pretty hard at work on several different projects. The COVID Biz List is what one of my staff has been really focused on. It's a comprehensive list of all the businesses in town, their status, whether they're open or closed or appointment only, etc. And any special accommodations that they're making to help individuals that need those accommodations and things that they're requesting of their customers to do in regards to coronavirus, try to keep everyone safe. So we provided that to the IMC. That has been kind of an integral part of their communication that they share with people as they come into town, that people that are coming in and preparing to quarantine have resources to be able to have a successful and as comfortable as possible quarantine. We also have an events calendar that we've been working hard to keep updated with events that are getting postponed or canceled, or if they're changing from an in-person event to a virtual event. And we're encouraging folks to do virtual events and adding those as they are created. And then trying to get that information out to the community to try to help these community members and these businesses stay connected and stay hopeful and stay positive during this time. We're also sharing business resources like the SBA grants and relief programs, as well as several other financing and deferment options to keep cash flowing, you know, and to keep cash available for these businesses that are struggling. So we're trying to connect businesses with those resources, try to keep that list up to date. I worked as part of the IMC, as you know, for quite some time. The Chamber donated my time to do that in that PIO role of 300 hours. And that was really good fit for me, but I think that it's really good that I can now focus on these chamber tasks as these businesses are getting ready to take on these new ideas and new concepts of rethinking and reopening and, you know, recovering. And that kind of brings me into this new campaign that we're launching. It's a rebuilding and recovery campaign that we are creating. It's called Come Back Better. And the hope is that it'll tie the community back together, starting with the businesses reopening. And so we put together a toolkit to help businesses not just come back, but come back better. So what we're kind of, process that we're going through with businesses, you should have gotten a handout and there was something in the packet. So starting with rethinking. So this is not business as usual, this is a new normal. So we are helping businesses kind of look at their operation, look at their structure, look at their offerings, and look at it through the lens of this situation that we're in. We need to encourage resilience through innovation with our businesses. And so one of the things we're going to be looking at is what are the engineering controls that we need to put in place? Social distancing measures, these guards, floor plans, stuff like that. What are some accessibility options that we should be considering? Drive-up windows, curbside pickup, delivery, phone or online ordering, schedule padding to reduce appointment overlap and try to reduce waiting rooms, and then strict sanitation standards and schedules, and then how to train their staff to keep these measures up. It's not an easy thing to do for businesses to rethink how they're operating, and so we're trying to be there for businesses to be an extra set of ears and eyes, and someone for them to bounce ideas off of, and someone for them to bring up some ideas that maybe they hadn't thought of on their own already. And if there are businesses out there that are struggling with this, I encourage them to call us, and we'll help them walk through it. And we do have some resources available. You know, there's some questions they could be asking themselves: is what do my customers need, and how can I accommodate those safely? Are there new ways I can be communicating with my customers? Are there new ways that I can deliver my products or services to them? What are some engineering controls that I need to put in place, and what are the safety protocols and mitigation measures that are required for me to operate right now. And so a lot of those are lined out at State Mandate 16, and we've started an educational campaign to try to that information out in the hands of business owners that are affected by it, to make sure that they're aware of it, see what they're thinking. And so to answer your questions earlier from the last meeting, when I was listening and taking notes, I have talked to a lot of these businesses, and the long and short of it is this. If a business owner feels unsafe or uncomfortable opening, they're not going to open. They're not going to expand. That's it. You know, there's a lot of these business owners, like some of you council members said, you're right on. They're owner-operators. So they're not going to put themselves or their staff in danger if they don't feel that it's safe for them to open, or if they don't feel like the measures that are being put forth for them to do are things that they can do. So businesses that do feel like they can operate are itching to do so. A lot of these businesses work on very tight margins. And a lot of these businesses are concerned that they may not be able to stay open this year or into the future if they don't start seeing some revenue soon. I know one business already has already said they're leaving town. So because they can operate in another town in Alaska, and they can't operate here as of yesterday. So these are real issues, and I really appreciate the fact that these conversations are happening at your level. I think it is really forward-looking for you to be able to not be reactionary to things that are happening right now, but be really kind of thoughtful and logical about all this stuff. So kudos to you all for kind of working through that in your last meeting. Now, next part is rebuilding. So we're going to be working with businesses to kind of solidify their customer base. When a business has to shut down, those customers have needs, and if that business is not meeting those needs, then that customer often finds other ways to meet those needs, whether that's ordering online, doing the service themselves that they would normally hire someone else to do. And so these businesses are going to have to work a little harder to get customers back and to prove that their business is important again. And some of these services are really missed, so it won't be that hard. But this is an opportunity for these businesses to be really looking at their products and their services, identifying the values that they have, and really communicating that to their current customers, and maybe even finding some new customers through that. So that's something that we're working with our businesses to do, and we're going to be launching an aggressive Stop Cordova First campaign to complement that, try to help people remember, like, these businesses are here in this town. You like having them here in this town. You miss them when they're not available in this town. If you want them to stay in this town, let's support them. And customers are going to have to get a little bit more creative and put in a little bit more effort in some of these cases. To do so. So it's a two-way street, and so we're going to be working both sides of that, with the community side and with the business side. And then it's time to reopen. So once businesses have kind of gotten that far, then they can think about reopening. And we put together a little guide of ways to prepare to reopen. And so it kind of walks the businesses through step one, know the rules. Familiarize yourself with all of the mandates and the state rules and the city guidelines and what needs to be turned in, how it needs to be put together. And then step two, you got to create and submit and post your plan. So some of these businesses don't actually have to do a real thorough plan, especially if they only have one or two people coming through. But it would be in their interest, I think, to create a plan. Because even as some of these people in town are itching for businesses to open, there's still a real big part of the population, I think, that are going to be cautious. Back into the
So,
marketplace.
Cathy, we're over 10 minutes, and council's already had 2 hours of meeting under their belt. Can we move towards questions?
Sure. I just wanted to say one more thing. You've got these materials in front of you, so you can see what we're working on. But the last thing I want to kind of touch on real quick is that I was inspired by something that the Valdez Unified Command did. They created a business and tourism task force, and I'm kind of discussing that with INC here in Cordova, putting together some sessions to try to help these businesses through these measures, and then also to work towards an economic recovery plan. And I can send you guys an example of what Fairbanks North Scarborough is doing. It's a really interesting document, but I think it'll be really important to have voices from the municipality and the region, and more than just a chamber voice putting this plan together. Because recovery is a really big part of the incident response.
Okay, well, thank you, Cathy. If ever there was a time our business community needed a passionate and enthusiastic chamber director, it's now. Council questions, Councilman Meyer?
Yeah, I have a question for Cathy. One comment first. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. I appreciate the volunteering that you did with the MI team, but I can understand needing to focus on the chamber right now and getting this going. When you send out information to businesses, are you sending it to members or members and non-members of the chamber?
I'm sending it to my entire business list, which includes all of the people who have, all of the businesses who have ever been a member of the Chamber of Commerce and any business who has opted into our email list. So I've worked and partnered with the city, the Chamber has worked and partnered with the city to share information about businesses and who has a business license in order to send out kind of pertinent information. The list that I have does not have email addresses on it. So if there is a list out there that the city has that has email addresses on it for all the businesses, I will happily, add that to an all business list and get this information out to all businesses. We're not focused on catering only to members right now. Membership does have value, and we really appreciate the support of our members, but we are not limiting our support to only members right now.
Okay, thank you. I didn't think otherwise. I just thought it would be good information to get out there. Maybe the city has a good email list that they can send you. I think that would be beneficial, and maybe you'll select some new members too.
Agreed.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Guard, as succinct as you can, please. We still haven't allowed the public a chance here.
Yeah, I haven't got much to say. No real questions. Thank you for everything you've been doing, Cathy. I'd just like to remind everybody to get out and support these businesses that have been closed. These are the friends and neighbors that are going to be opening up, so it would be good if we all supported them and gave them a little business.
Councilman Schaefer.
Nope, just big thank you to Cathy for all your hard work.
Councilman Gleason.
Thank you, Cathy. You're doing a great job.
Councilman Baylor.
Yeah, thanks, Cathy. And then this little PSA for the public that are listening. I meant to mention it earlier, but as you're re-listening these things on YouTube, all of the mayor's talks and stuff, you can slide over to the right, hit settings, and you can increase that speed from 1.25 to 1.50 to 1.75. And I found I can listen to these briefings by the mayors and other in like 3 minutes. And Clay talks fast anyway. He sounds a little bit like Mickey Mouse when you go up to 1.75, but you can understand him. And the city manager last week, I put her at 1.50, and you can really get through them fast. So it's kind of more encouraging to listen to those. So try that on your computer.
Thank you. Councilman Sherman.
Well, I just wanted to thank Cathy. I was really impressed with the Back to Business Toolkit. I think it's awesome, and it's very encouraging. So I wanted to thank her for all her hard work on that.
Councilman Allison.
Thanks for your hard work, Cathy, and the rest of the staff at the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cathy. So now we have audience comments. I know it says incident management team on here. We did have a briefing in the special meeting. They indicated they didn't have anything else to add. Is there any other questions, council, since it's on the agenda? Anything to add, Paul? Okay, thank you. So audience comments regarding agenda items. That number again is 253-6202. It's a beautiful sunny day in Cordova. We haven't had calls yet, but I know council's asking a lot of great questions, and maybe some of those questions are getting answered. We do have a call coming in. Okay, we don't have any calls. Okay, I did get a couple of texts here. Senator Murkowski, I think, is up late preparing for a briefing, so I'm pushing her questions out to medical staff. And then Doskaloses, who are Cordova residents, they have a fertilizer plant. They're producing thousands of gallons a day of hand sanitizer. So Carrie just mentioned that, and I know there's folks in town that have their contacts, so I just mentioned that for the record because they came in on my cell phone. So we don't have any public calls. There again is a chance for audience participation at the end of the agenda. And have we checked that line, Jason? Have we tried to call in to see if it's working? Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Chairpersons and representatives of boards and commissions, CCMC Authority Board.
Yeah, hi, Clay, can you hear me okay?
We can. You're loud and clear. Thank you, Greg.
Right. Greg Meyer, CCMC Board. I don't have much to report right now. Dr. Sanders addressed my topics. Just the staff has been working incredibly hard preparing for the pandemic, finding funds and purchasing PPE and equipment, meetings, and just want to let everyone know that we are open for business, and we're not real busy right now. Business is down about 30%. So the clinic's open, physical therapy is open, behavioral health. So go ahead and give them a call and don't put off your medical needs. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Question? Any questions, council? And then we'll go to a caller. They hung up. Okay, without objection, council, I'm going to revert back to public comments because they've had such little opportunity. So. Okay, caller, you're online. 3 minutes. Your name for the record and 3 minutes, please.
Sarah Parker. I'd like to ask, how does the city anticipate handling a relatively large group of individuals who have repeatedly communicated to our fishing union and elsewhere that they will not comply with city or state mandates, especially from those who are traveling to a location with known widespread community transmission? The positive case announced today is in a way kind of a success story because the system in place works through cooperation with the employer, the employee, our medical providers, and the incident management team. And it seems like everything that we have in place right now appears to be contingent on an assumed sense of cooperation from all parties. So I'm wondering, how does the city plan to handle a group of individuals that has clearly communicated they will not comply or cooperate, especially those that have communicated this and are traveling from a location with known community transmission? Thanks.
Okay, so we just lost some of our incident management team, but do you want to grab that, Helen?
Was that the question you sent me earlier in an email, I think? Is that correct? Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I was just going to say that there's a lot of questions. The city just passed a new mandate, a new resolution that will bring our health mandates directly in line with the state. So I think if you all could give us a little bit of time to kind of communicate that out to help you understand how we can and are doing everything we can to make sure that the health of the community is protected and that we're following state mandates and guidelines. So we'll have better information for you now that there's new guidelines from city that track directly with the state mandates. We'll have that out by Friday.
So, and there is a link to the state website. There is an email address that you can report violations, but we are the first line of defense. I've asked several people to wear their masks and they didn't have any problem immediately putting them on. So it's nice to just be able to have those conversations and encourage compliance. Is there another caller? Okay, we had another caller, but we dropped the call, so I'll go to the school board report. Do we have a report there?
Yes, this is Barb Jewell, Board of Education Chair.
Thank you, Barb. Go ahead.
Thanks. I just wanted to say we've got a few more weeks of school left, and students are participating virtually. Teachers, parents, and students have been working really hard. They're being really creative in their approaches to learning. Teachers and students seem to miss each other a lot, but they're making it work. Graduation plans are coming along. To be honest, people have really struggled with how to do a meaningful graduation. How do we celebrate and honor the class of 2020's hard work, their accomplishments, their family support when we cannot congregate, and lots of people involved in the planning process struggle with that. There is a video of graduation celebrations being produced that will be shared on the 16th, and students and families also appear to be arranging for a procession. I would say stay tuned for any other additional celebrations that are going to occur. We have recently submitted our budget to the city, and hopefully you all will see that soon if you haven't already. It does, just to give you a heads up, it does include a request for additional funding. We haven't assumed that that will happen, but it is in there. You may have seen the spring music online concerts, although our music festival, our regional music festival that we had planned so deeply for did not occur. They did do spring music concerts online, and if you didn't get a chance to see those live, they will be on the school YouTube. Just to let you know, the superintendent is working with the state on if and when we can do summer school and other summer educational programs, and we will keep people informed of that. I think most importantly, I wanted to make people aware that it is Teacher Appreciation Week. So if you get a chance to reach out to a teacher or staff member that's instructing our kids and say thanks, I urge you to take it. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you very much, Barb. Any questions, Council? Councilman Allison.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, Barb. I just wanted to thank the school district and all of your staff for the efforts that they've been putting in through this time. Appreciated the concerts for the music. I'm sure glad you guys hired that music teacher a number of years ago. Has been a great benefit for Cordova, and thanks for all the extra efforts you guys have been putting in. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a lot of hard work, so I appreciate you saying that, Sam.
Other questions, comments, Council? Okay, thank you, Barb. Appreciate it. Do we have a student council representative online? Okay, just wanted to make sure we offered an opportunity. Do we have any callers currently?
They might call back.
Okay, we'll just keep posted. Just flag me if someone calls in.
Let's put the minutes in the consent calendar again, just to make it one quick vote.
Yes. So in the consent calendar, if we could, if there's no objection to considering the minutes in there to expedite, is there any objection to the consent calendar, including the two resolutions and the minutes of April 1st special, or I'm sorry, public hearing and regular council meeting? Any of those want separated out? Okay, roll call, please.
So on the consent calendar, including the minutes, Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Cathy Sherman,
Yes.
Jeff Gard,
Yes.
Melina Meyer,
Yes.
Ann Schaefer,
Yes.
David Allison,
Yes.
David Gleason.
Yes.
Consent calendar's approved.
Okay, thank you. We have officers' reports. I'm going to pass. Do you have any questions of me, Council? I think I've said just about most of what I had to share. Okay, City Manager's report.
I think we've discussed everything I could possibly think of at this point in time. So I will keep it quick and move on to the finance report by Ken.
Someone said they tried calling in, no one answered.
Call again. Right in the middle of something, I can't answer.
Oh,
Who's calling?
can we take this call? Clay, we have.
Yes, so if no objection, I'm trying to sneak public comment in here to give an opportunity for that. So we'll go to the phone for a moment. Okay, you're on. If you could state your name for the record and 3 minutes, please.
Hey, good evening, guys. It's Brett Bradford, 402 Railroad Go. Just wanted to comment on your capital improvement list. It looks good. Interested to see how you're going to improve the community water supply. Also wanted to speak in opposition of Resolution 052018. I think in this case, less is more. I don't think you need any more advisory committees involved in these negotiations. So anyway, that's all I had. Have a good evening. I'm out.
Okay, thank you. So now the financial report.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'd like to point out the handouts that I've given. First off, I'd like to say that I'm really glad to be here.
Put it closer to you. It's on.
Like this?
Yeah, you got to really get up on the mic.
Like this?
There you go.
Okay. I'm glad to be in Cordova. It's as beautiful as people have told me, and I am excited to be a part of the team, a good team. Before what I've sent to you is the financials. I apologize. The first form did not have headings for all funds. I apologize for that. I've also had the general fund. It's for the first 3 months of the year. The results. It tracks pretty well with last year, but in terms of detail, since I'm new, I'm getting into it, and in future reports, I will have a more detailed analysis. In addition, I've presented the mark-to-market, or how our investments have done. For the first 3 months, we lost $1 million compared to December 31st. Luckily, in April, it picked up a $300,000. So net, since December 31st, we're down $700,000.
What the percent be on that?
I don't off the top of my hand. Probably 15%, over 10.
That's not bad.
No, it isn't. Let's see, what else? I guess that's about it. I want to be brief. Any questions?
Any questions, Council?
Oh, my.
Councilman Baylor.
I guess I'll just repeat my question. I should have waited till now for the benefit of those on the phone. I asked what the percentage was that our funds were down, and I believe, what was it, you estimated around?
Oh, actually, for the year, it's less than 10. It would be about 8 or 9 off the top of my head.
And that's good. I mean, the market's down about 12%. So if we're at 8 or 9, we're doing good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions? Finance report, Council? Okay, thank you. Clerk's report. Or I'm sorry, were you done with the manager's report, Helen? Or? Okay, great. Clerk's report.
I don't have anything tonight.
Any questions for manager, clerk, or mayor? Okay, any comments on the correspondence? DNR agency notice. Okay, hearing none. First item of business is item 13, resolution 05-20-17, a resolution of the Council of the City of Cordova, Alaska, designating capital improvement projects. Okay, so this is informational, essentially. Councilman Baylor.
That's right. If you want to go to the phones first, I'll wait. I do have a comment.
Well, put it on the floor. It's actually a new number. That's what we did. We're
Okay.
giving it a fresh 2020 number for the grants.
Okay, yeah, because generally we adopt these once a year.
Move to approve.
So we have a motion and a second to approve. Councilman Allison, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, we'll let it go around once first.
Okay, Baylor?
I was just going to kind of reply to the caller that called in about the community water supply upgrade. And I believe that was the, I don't know if Lay's still on the line or not, but I believe that was to look for other sources. We had a little bit of money left over from a project. So if you remember last year and the year before, we were kind of short on water supply. So I think that was how to utilize our existing water system and look for other sources, I think is what the study was going to be for, correct? So just putting it out there for them.
Okay. Councilman Gleason.
No comment.
Councilman Schaefer.
My only question is for number 5, the road improvements. Have we done any of those, or any of those? Could any of those be removed, or are we still? Are those still on the list?
Leif or Sam, are you online?
I hope so.
Specifically, the 2nd Street and the 6th and 7th. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
So everything on the list are proposed projects or in the works projects that grant funding is being sought. And I guess neither Leif or Sam are online right now to speak specifically to the one you're questioning. And I don't have that information, but I can certainly get it to you.
2nd Street was...
And then, was 2nd Street funded, or was that?
It's funded, and
Cross Street was 2nd Street. Okay.
it's funded. It just has, the work hasn't begun.
And so is it worth it, if it's already been funded and we're going to do it, do we need to have it on our capital improvement project list? Because isn't this to help us get funding for projects?
It's both. I believe, as I understand it, it's projects that have not yet been completed or initiated yet, but perhaps have gotten funding. It is, things don't go off the list until the project is complete and fully funded.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
2nd Street's it could be up to 5 years, starting with design, surveying, and all that, because it's from the highway all the way up to D Street. So, which list was I working off of here? Councilman Sherman.
I don't have any changes. I'm wondering if maybe the upgrade to community water supply could be moved lower on the list. I see other things that are maybe more crucial and important at this time.
So do we generally rank these in the order of priority? Seems like we have.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, in the past we have.
Yeah, in the past we have.
You proposing that as an amendment, and which slot would you move it into, Councilman Sherman?
I would put it at number 5 and just move everything up a notch.
Okay, so 3 and 4 would move up, 2 would move down to, well, I guess it'd have to move to the very end because there's only 5 total. So there's a amendment to move item 2, community water supply, to item number 5, and the other 3 would move up in the list. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second. Would you like to speak to your motion, Councilman Sherman?
No, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing for us to keep in the back of our heads and look at, but I see more important things below that I'd rather fund or try and find funding for first. So I'm happy that it stays on the list. I don't think it needs to be the second one.
City manager has something to contribute here.
Many of these projects, and I'm sorry that neither Sam or Leif are available at this moment in time, but some of the projects' funding has been identified, and because the pools of funds are very specific to certain types of projects, some of them might be easier to initiate than others. And I can't speak specifically, but I just wanted to give you that information so that you understood that some of those projects may have more readily available funds. That doesn't mean that they're higher priority. It just means that we can access resources. Sam?
True. We evaluate this quarterly, do we not?
Yes.
Sam, are you on the line?
I am online.
Okay. So we have an expert in the room.
So Sam, this is Councilman Sherman. I was just asking about potentially moving the upgrade of community water supply on the CIP list down to the bottom, moving up the shipyard. But if there's reason for it to be there, I'd like to hear that.
So let me just rephrase the question to make sure I understand. So you want to move the community water supply underneath the shipyard development?
I was going to take it down to the bottom of the list.
And we're ranking these in order of priority?
Yes.
Well, I guess I don't have the pack in front of me. What's in between that and the shipyard?
So Sam, we have port and harbor renovations is one, and there's some sub projects there. There's upgrade community water supply 2. Number 3 is a large vessel maintenance facility. Number 4 is a public safety building, and number 5 is road improvements, and those include 2nd Street, 6th and 7th sidewalks, ferry terminal sidewalk, General Street, and sidewalk improvements.
But you could take 2nd Street off at that grant. Yeah. But that's a tough one. I mean, I think the water is going to be important into the future. We are doing that network analysis, so we might have a better concept of what we would need in the future. So it might be better. It would probably be okay putting it underneath, as long as it doesn't go off.
This is Sherman. I knew I wasn't going to take it off. I was just going to put it down there so we didn't lose it, but I felt like some of these others could move up a little bit, like the shipyard facilities and the public safety building.
Yeah, you know, I think that's fine, because as long as it's on there, it's easy to reference in a grant application, as being on the list.
Okay, thanks, Sam.
You're welcome.
Okay, and the second, Councilman Garden.
I'll just echo Cathy's comments.
Okay, and then I'll just cycle through for comments. Councilman Meyer on the amendment to move number 2 to the bottom.
Yeah, I think it can move to the bottom. If Sam's still on the line, maybe she could talk a little bit about the community water supply. Because there's not really like a full description underneath each one of these. From what I remember, I think it's trying to look for new water supply to add into what we currently have, mainly for the summer months. It was the idea behind it too, also maybe upgrading some like water distribution throughout the town, either old pipes that are laid down. I just wasn't sure if it included more than source of water.
Yeah, I mean, I think the general idea is that it's not just new sources, but it could be upgrading what we already have and making those better. And then also looking at infrastructure as kind of an overall future plan and action to make sure we don't ever run out of water in the summertime.
Okay, and then just my second last question is, does the order of our capital improvement projects help with grant funding?
I think it's more important that they're just on there.
Okay.
So if they're on there time after time after time, you know, then it shows there's a consistent desire to do these tax projects.
So Councilman Meyer? To the amendment?
Yeah, I'm supportive of it. I'm fine with moving it down.
Okay, Councilman Schaefer.
Yeah, I don't have a comment at this time. Right.
Councilman Gleason to the amendment.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Councilman Baylor.
Well, I think the upgrade of the water system is probably the most important thing on here, because without fresh water, our canneries don't run. And we did come pretty close to, I mean, the staff did a heck of a job. Was it last year or the year before? Literally juggling water treatment tanks. They had to hire a consultant to show them which valves to throw. I mean, we were in a pinch. Remember, there was no washing of cars, no excess use of water. It's a pretty important thing, and if the community ever wants to expand, even in a dry year, we're in trouble. If we ever want to expand, we're going to be in trouble. So I think it's a really high priority issue for me. And the shipyard building, that's probably going to end up being a private job, because we've seen what happens down there at the shipyard with buildings. It's hard to get something to stand up as far as the large vessel maintenance facility. And the shipyard expansion, you can expand it, but if you don't have water to use, you're in trouble there. So I guess if this is the ranking in order of importance, I would make sure, I would even put it into number 1 as far as that. Well, no, Port and Harbor. I would keep it where it's at. So I wouldn't support that. I'd kind of leave it with its importance.
Okay, Councilman, I keep losing my place here. Here we go, Councilman Sherman. No, you proposed it. Councilman Allison, sorry.
Yeah, Councilmember Baylor stole my thunder. Last summer we were under rations. Water's pretty important, way more important. If we're ranking this in order of importance, it's more important than anything on that list. Like Councilmember Baylor said, I do not support moving it to the bottom of the list. I think we need to worry about our water. The last several years we've had a trouble with it. This year probably not. It's going to be a low fish year. Had plenty of snow. Hopefully we won't have the issues we had last year, but it doesn't mean next year won't be the same as it was last year. And last summer was, we couldn't wash our cars. We couldn't water the lawn. We couldn't use a drop extra than we had. So we need to work on the water supply. So I think it's important to leave right where is it at.
Okay, so any further discussion, council? Councilman Gleason? Councilman Gleason?
No discussion.
Mr. Mayor, this is Chairman.
Councilman Sherman?
Because we review these quarterly, I'm happy to rescind my amendment, and I would ask staff to provide more information. We used to have to provide paragraphs and descriptions of each one of these projects that was on the capital improvement list as a supplement to the capital improvement list, and so I guess details, whether things are funded already, where they stand would be really useful to me as I review these, and so I put the onus on planning to show me the importance of its location on this list. But I'll rescind my motion if the second agrees.
Okay, Councilman Sherman. Any objection, Councilman Gard? And then I'm going to go. Oh, go ahead.
What did he say?
Okay, none. Thank you. And then, so I'm going to go back to the main motion to Councilman Allison to see if he would just like to refer to staff with those comments by Councilman Sherman. We generally try to have these in place before the legislative session, and that's a ways out.
Right, but
so.
Sam specifically asked for this in here for grants.
Oh, okay. So that's right, because we have a
That's
build
why we
grounds
wanted a
active.
fresh number.
Okay. So the amendment has been withdrawn. Is there any discussion to the main motion? Thank you. Hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Ann Schaefer?
Yes.
Cathy Sherman,
Yes.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Melina Meyer,
Yes.
David Allison,
Yes.
Jeff Guard,
Yep.
David Gleason.
Yep.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, thank you. And then I just, for the record, the council did ask for just a brief summarizing paragraph for each of those items. So when they review them quarterly, they have that background. Okay, next item is item 14, Resolution 05-20-18, and that's a resolution of the Council of the City of Cordova, Alaska, establishing the CCMC Purchase and Sale Advisory Committee, appointing its leadership team and founding members, directing that committee to analyze any offers to purchase CCMC, and directing the committee to analyze, review, and make recommendations regarding the purchase and sale of CCMC, and regarding the codification of a purchase and sale procedure for CCMC.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Baylor.
I'd move that we go into executive session and to discuss the sale of the hospital.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to go into executive session. I think what the suggestion was maybe to have a motion for that resolution and then start discussion, and then if something came up during the discussion that warranted an executive session.
If that's the process, that's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that a little? Okay, we're just being kind of sensitive.
That's fine.
The kind of training guidance. Okay, so would you like to speak to the motion?
Well, we'd have to put it on the table, and then we'd have to go into executive session.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, that's right. So, so we don't have a motion right now because a motion for executive session was withdrawn.
Move resolution 05-2018.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Councilman Allison to the motion.
I think that there's enough information here that we need to discuss that is of a sensitive financial nature that we should go into executive session. So I move to go into executive session to discuss the sale of CCMC and associated committees that are listed here. Matters of immediate knowledge which would clearly have an adverse effect on the finances of the government.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Is there any objection?
I got a request that Mr. Meyer would be allowed into the executive session.
Okay, and then do we know if we still have Holly available?
Yes.
So-
And-
okay.
And Rob Allen is available
Yeah.
if it's needed.
And so Rob Allen is also the city's consultant on this. So is there any objection to executive session and having Greg Meyer call in? Okay, hearing none. And then we need to call in on another line?
Yeah, but I'm not going to say it out loud.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Okay, so text it to council?
So why doesn't everybody hang up? We're turning off YouTube, and I will text the council members a call-in number.
Take a break.
Okay, so yeah, why don't
Let's
we take a 5-minute recess, maybe even longer while we get that set up. Thank you.
Sorry.